we'll very quickly apply what we have learned so far and solve some circuits. And also I'll have some concluding remarks on common collector configurations. So here I've given three very simple bipolar junction transistor circuits, and you're supposed to find the resistance looking in each of these nodes. So in the first circuit seen here, base and emitter are grounded. You're looking into the collector. So what is the resistance here? R naught, right? It's directly R naught. It's VCE by IC. It's R naught itself. Now in this circuit, you are looking into the collector, but look at this. You have short circuited base and collector. Now what do you think will be the resistance? Yes. So now if you see, you can actually draw the small signal model and derive it. But generally, we have actually, we have already derived a problem of this type, but so base and collector are short circuited. So the small signal goes this way. So you have GM V pi R naught, and V pi is the voltage across this. This is R pi. Now your short, the moment you short circuit base and collector, what would happen is that you have V pi appearing across the dependent current source GM V pi. So if you recall, I told in one of the previous lectures, if you have a dependent current source of value GM V pi and the voltage across that is also V pi, that will happen only if base and collector are short circuited. In that case, I can simply replace this current source with a resistor because the current is proportional to V pi. So it is resistance of value 1 by Gm. So what you have is, I'll replace this with a resistance of value 1 by Gm. So then you have three resistors in parallel. So this is R pi in parallel with 1 by Gm in parallel with R naught. Okay. What is R pi parallel 1 by Gm? Small re. Is that okay? So that will be R pi into 1 by Gm by R pi plus 1 by Gm. So that's nothing but R pi upon beta plus 1. So which is small re. Okay. This is the result you get, which is small re. So whenever you see, for example, if you see a BJT, in fact, generally, this is the general trend. Your small re will be smaller than R naught, right? This what you get here is R pi parallel 1 by Gm parallel R naught. You will later see this MOSFETs, or even in MOSFET circuits, we will see this two-terminal device. I told you guys that either a BJT or a MOSFET, when you short two terminals, they are three-terminal devices, but the moment you short two terminals, it becomes a two-terminal device. As far as small signals are concerned, this two-terminal device will behave like a resistor. And what is the value of the resistor? Approximately 1 by Gm. See, there are three values in parallel. R pi in parallel with 1 by Gm in parallel with R naught. That's what you have written. But generally, R pi and R naught will be much larger than 1 by Gm. Right? R pi will be beta times larger than 1 by Gm. R naught will be A naught, intrinsic gain, times larger than 1 by Gm. Is that okay? So you have R pi parallel R naught parallel 1 by Gm. So I can approximate this to 1 by Gm. So you will get approximately 1 by Gm. So this two-terminal device, just replace it with 1 by Gm. That's it. So now if you are given a circuit like this, so first you have and a resistance of value Re. Look at this, base and collector are shorted. So then what is the resistance seen here? Let's call this Rx. What will be the resistance seen here? Plus Re, right? So you can just replace this BJT with a resistance of value 1 by, you don't, okay, now I told you 1 by Gm, yes. Re plus that, so 1 by Gm plus capital Re, approximately 1 by Gm. I can replace the BJT with a resistance of 1 by Gm and I have this. Now what happens if I don't connect the gate and the base and collector? Instead, I'm grounding the collector. What is the resistance in that case? What is this resistance? We derived this in the last class. What is the resistance? So whatever resistance is here, Re, that comes in parallel with R pi. Yes, so that comes in parallel with R pi multiplied by A naught of this transistor. A naught into R pi. Yeah, not R pi, it is A naught into Re parallel R pi. So approximately. So in fact, there is also a term R naught plus Re parallel R pi and all of that. But I told you guys we can approximate it. Most of the times you can just approximate it to just this value. So it will be Re in parallel with R pi times A naught. This will be your output resistance. Okay. Yeah, I have ignored. See, ideally, what will it be? Ideally, it will be R naught plus Re parallel R naught. Re parallel R pi plus Re parallel R pi into GM R naught. This is the exact expression. This is the exact expression. And I told you guys, you don't have to remember this. You can, it's since most of your exams are open book. So you can just keep this result and write your final expression. Okay, so that's the difference here. So the moment, see here now, if I short circuit the base, if I short circuit base and collector, it becomes much simpler. You simply get 1 by GM plus Re. Now let's analyze these two circuits. So you have a BJT diode connected BJT here, and you're looking into the input of this transistor. Assume both are identical and biased with similar parameters. Biased with similar bias currents and BV equation, everything you can assume to be same for both of them. The first case, what will be the input resistance? Yes, that's it. So it will be R pi. So it will be R pi plus beta plus 1 into 1 by GM. See what I told you, just replace this transistor with a resistance of value approximately 1 by GM. So beta plus 1 into 1 by GM. That's it. That's your input resistance of this transistor. If you want to be exact, it will be 1 by GM parallel R naught parallel R pi. That's an exact result, but I told you guys you can replace it with 1 by GM itself. Works fine. Now in the second case, what do you think will be this output resistance? So it will be R pi parallel 1 by GM, so which is approximately 1 by GM itself. So replace this with a resistor of value 1 by GM. Replace the diode connect transistor with a resistance of value 1 by GM. So the output resistance will be A naught times A naught of this transistor. Okay. See, be careful with A naught. A naught is A naught of this transistor. So let me number the transistors. Now let's assume this is transistor 1. So we give this as transistor 1 and this is transistor 2. So in that case, if I want to write the expression, this will be 1 by GM1. I'll replace this with a resistance of value 1 by GM1. And your output resistance seen at this terminal will be in terms of, can you write it in terms of GM2, RO2, RO1 and all of that, and 1 by GM1 and all of that. So what will it be? So it will be GM2 RO2. That's nothing but A02. So GM2 RO2 of this transistor multiplied by 1 by GM. Okay, that's your output resistance. Okay, so that's with these two problems. Yeah. So now I'll just discuss one more point, which we did not discuss in the previous lectures, which is the intrinsic gain of a common collector configuration. What is the fundamental limit? We said approximately it's equal to 1, but we haven't derived an exact expression. So I'll just finish that and then we'll look at all the three common emitter, common base and common collector together. So to find the intrinsic gain or the maximum possible gain in a common collector configuration, I've made RL as infinity. I've open circuited the load and I've short circuited the source resistance. RS is 0. Okay, RS is 0 and RL is infinity. Now by doing so, I'm left with only R naught at the output, right? There is R naught to AC ground, collector is at AC ground. So I can just redraw the circuit this way. So I can just bring the resistor down, I can refer it to the ground and draw it this way. So this is AC ground. Okay. So now once you have the circuit this way, now you are supposed to find the voltage gain V0 to Vi. Okay. So understand the emitter current IE is actually fully flowing through R0. The emitter current IE is actually fully flowing through R0. Now what we can do is if you want to derive the expression for this, so this let's assume VBE is your voltage across the base emitter junction. Okay. So then your VBE is nothing but Vi minus V0. VBE is nothing but Vi minus V0. So Vi is the base voltage, V0 is the emitter voltage. Okay. So that times, so that's your VBE, that times GM. So GM into Vi minus V0. That's your VBE. There is also a current through R pi, right? So when you actually have, this is the current, this is your collector current, IC, this is your collector current. You can just, what you can do is, if this is your collector current, what will be your base current in terms of collector current? Can I say it is by beta? IC by beta. This is small signal IC, right? GMVBE, what is your GMVBE? That's your small signal IC. And small signal base current will be GMVBE by beta. But what is the current flowing through R0 here? What is the value of current flowing through R0? Is it collector current or what is the current flowing through R0? It is the emitter current. So this is your collector current. IC is GM into Vi minus V0. So what can you say about emitter current? What is emitter current? Can I say it is IC by alpha? IC by alpha, right? Emitter current is IC by alpha. So I can simply write it as 1 by alpha into GM into Vi minus V0. So your emitter current is simply 1 by alpha into GM into Vi minus V0. So that's your emitter current. Your output voltage is simply IE, because you look at this here, emitter current is flowing into R0. So your output voltage is IE into R0, which is GM by alpha into R0 into Vi minus V0. So what I'll do is I'll take alpha this side, alpha by GM R0 to this side. So what is alpha by GM? What is this? What is alpha by GM? It's small re. You can say it's small re. So then I can write V0 equals R0 by small re into Vi minus V0. So you just rearrange the terms here. What will you get here? V0 by Vi is actually R0 by R0 plus small re. So this is the fundamental or the intrinsic gain of a common collector configuration. You can very easily derive this result if you go for T model. So that's what I've shown here. What I've shown here in the T model, just replace your BJT by its T model. So this is the base, this is collector, and from emitter terminal, this is emitter terminal, you have RE here. Okay, look at this model here. So if you see the model here, what you see here is you have the input voltage Vi is the base voltage with respect to ground. So the input voltage is, this entire voltage is Vi. Okay, if this entire voltage is Vi, this is the emitter node voltage which is V0. The current flowing through this is the emitter current. So it's just a potential divider, right? The voltage across R0 is just a potential division of Vi. So it's R0 by R0 plus Re into Vi. So the intrinsic gain is R0. R0 by R0 plus Re. Now your Re is actually, the value of Re is alpha by Gm. And I'll approximate it to 1 by Gm. Right? Alpha by Gm, I'll approximate it to 1 by Gm. In that case, this expression, so which will be R0 by R0 plus 1 by Gm will reduce to Gm R0 by 1 plus Gm R0. So this will be A0 by 1 plus A naught, where A naught equals the product intrinsic gain of a common emitter configuration, which is GM or naught. Generally, if you use T model, you get simpler answers. Okay, for common collector, yes, it's a much simpler model to use. That if you use T model for a common collector, the analysis becomes very simple. Okay, so fine. So what we have derived here is A naught by 1 plus A naught is your intrinsic gain. It's very close to 1, right? It's very close to 1. You can write it as 1 minus 1 by 1 plus A naught. Okay, so if A naught is very high, this number will be very close to 1. So now if you bring all the three results together, you have common collector, the intrinsic gain for common collector, I'll write it as AV, the intrinsic gain. The intrinsic gain for common collector is A naught by 1 plus A naught. A naught here being GM or naught. For common emitter, what is the intrinsic gain? Maximum attainable gain minus GM or naught, right? For a common emitter is at ground, you're looking at the collector. If you apply voltage VI, you will get minus GM or naught. So it will be minus A naught. A naught being GM into R naught. And for common base configuration, the maximum attainable gain is 1 plus A naught. 1 plus GM or naught. Okay, so that's the intrinsic gain of each of these stages. Now we did a rigorous analysis of each of those stages, input resistances and output resistances. Okay, we did a rigorous analysis of input resistance of each of those stages. Only in common base, I left out one result. I just derived it. I just gave you the final expression, but I did not derive it. How did you get the input resistance? Output resistance, we have derived it. Okay, so let me quickly, I think by now you know the results and the intuitive, the results that you should use to analyze the circuits intuitively. So let's say we have a common emitter configuration. In a common emitter configuration, this is your source and this is your collector side, which is the output side, and this base, which is your input side. What is the input resistance here? Common collector, common emitter, R pi, right? Input resistance is R pi. And what is the output resistance here? R naught. So that's your common emitter. So common emitter input resistance is R pi, output resistance is R naught. So what can you say? Is the input resistance high? Generally, is input resistance high on output? What kind of an amplifier is this? Yes, Rin is high. Rin is high. R out is also high. Both are high. Okay. So because your input resistance is very high and output resistance is also very high, a common emitter is best approximated as transconductance amplifier. Yes. It's actually better approximated as a transconductance amplifier. Okay, but because of its, why is R naught so high? No, R naught is because, see, ideally a bipolar junction transistor, yeah, you normally compare to, when I say high, I'm usually comparing it as 1 by GM. Okay, but anyways, but R naught, see, why is R naught high? Because for a BJT, you don't want the collector current to change with collector emitter voltage, right? You want your BJT characteristics to remain constant. Ideally, R naught should be infinity. So this is the slope. R naught is the slope in this region for your output characteristics, IC versus VCE. So in the next lab, we will be actually, they'll simulate the BJTs, MOSFET's IV characteristics and show it to you. So tomorrow we'll discuss the equations for current and voltage in the MOSFET. So you can connect it. You will actually see a graph. They'll show you a graph like this for a MOSFET on a simulation software. So your R naught will be very high. If for an ideal MOSFET or an ideal BJT, R naught should be infinity. Okay, it's better suited as transconductance amplifier, but we use a transconductance amplifier for voltage amplification as well. So it can be used as a voltage amplifier as long as your load resistance is high. You got it? Why did I say load resistance is high? What is the condition? Why did I say that? Otherwise, what will happen? What will happen if the load resistance is low? Yes, so high RL. So for example, if this is the voltage, RL is going to come in parallel with R naught. RL is going to come in parallel with R naught. Okay. Since both of them are in parallel, yeah, you can look at it as voltage drop, or you can also look at it as resistors in parallel. When two resistors are in parallel, if your RL happens to be smaller than R naught, then the overall resistance will just be RL itself. Your gain will be much smaller than your intrinsic gain. So if you see, the intrinsic gain of a common emitter configuration is minus of GM, the actual gain of a common emitter configuration with a load resistance RL is minus of GM into R naught parallel RL, which can be written as minus of GM R naught into RL by RL plus R naught. So if you look at this expression, this is like a voltage division, right? RL by RL plus R naught. You can see that. I mean, you can say that if you write a voltage amplifier model for this circuit, most of the voltage will drop across RL if RL is comparable to R naught or even greater than R naught. You don't want R naught to be RL to be smaller. So we can use a common emitter amplifier as a voltage amplifier provided RL is high. When I say high, RL should be high compared to R naught. So generally in integrated circuits, if you are seeing this common emitter being used as an amplifier, typically the load resistance will be comparable to R naught. If you recall in the second lecture when I was teaching, we discussed about a common emitter configuration having an active load, right? We discussed the circuit having an active load. So if you see this circuit, we said an active load is like a current source. It's also called as a current source load. So what is the resistance offered by the current source? Let ROP be the ROP and GMP be the transconductance and output resistance of this MOSFET. What will be the resistance seen on the PNP transistor side? This is a PNP transistor. I'm looking into the collector of a PNP transistor. Base is at AC ground, emitter is at AC ground. What is the looking in resistance? ROP, yes, it will be ROP. Replace this transistor with a resistance of value ROP. Then this ROP will come in parallel with RON. So the gain is going to be minus of GMN, NMOS as GM is GMN into ROP parallel RON. So because ROP will generally be comparable to RON, the gain will not reduce much. It will reduce by a factor of half. Can I repeat the ROP part? Yeah. See, I discussed in the previous lecture that if you take a PNP transistor and fix your base voltage at a certain voltage, VCC minus mod VB quiescent, then if this transistor is in saturation region, then this circuit will behave like a current source, a sourcing current source between VCC and this node. Okay, and this is because of an active region. In active region, if you see PNP transistor characteristics look like this, NPN or PNP, even though your collector emitter voltage is changing, even if VC is changing, your current remains more or less constant. If it remains constant, it's like current source. So if I fix my VBE, then this device will behave like a current source between these two terminals, which means even though this node voltage is changing, even though this node voltage here, let's call this some VC, is changing, your current will remain more or less constant. So we say it behaves like a current source. But in reality, it will have a finite slope, right? So that's your R naught. The slope is 1 by R naught. So we say that we can model a PMOS transistor whose base voltage is fixed at a given value as a current source with a resistance in parallel given by ROP. So in small signal, the current source will be 0. If we open circuit the current source, it will be just reducing to a resistance of value ROP. Okay? Yeah. So this is what we have analyzed. So we said that RL is high. So ideally, if you see a common emitter amplifier, a common emitter amplifier is better suited as a transconductance amplifier. Input is voltage, output is current. But you can use it as a voltage amplifier as well, provided your load resistance is very high. When I say very high, I'm comparing load resistance RL with R out. it should be comparable or greater than the output resistance. Then you get significant gain out of a common emitter configuration. If your load resistance is very small, then you lose out on the gain in case of a common emitter configuration. And that effect of reduced gain in the presence of a load resistance is called loading effect. We saw that initially how it affects the voltage gain. So now we'll quickly see what about, so if you take common emitter configuration, there are three things. This is the simplest common emitter without any source degeneration or anything, emitter degeneration or anything. Rn is R pi, R out is R naught, and the intrinsic gain is A naught, which is GMR naught. This is for a common emitter configuration. So for a common base configuration, we'll quickly calculate those parameters. So in a common base configuration, input is at the emitter, output is at the collector, base being the common terminal. So in a common base configuration, what will be your input resistance Rm? So let's say there is a load resistance RL. So you should say that you should think by now, you should know that it depends on RL. So let me ask you this question. Let's assume there is a finite RL and let's assume R naught is infinity. If R naught is infinity, what do you think will be your input resistance? RL is still finite. RL is still finite. Is that okay to everyone? It is small re. If R naught is infinity, it's small re. Why is that? If you apply a voltage Vi here, which will be VBE, and the current flowing through this is IE. The current flowing through that is fully IE itself. R naught is infinity, so there is no other path for the current. So it will be IE itself. So that's simply input resistance is small re, which is equal to alpha by Gm, which is approximately 1 by Gm. And it is independent of RL. If your R naught is infinity, it is independent of RL. The second thing, let's introduce R naught now. The second case, we are now going to introduce R naught. If the moment we introduce R naught, then we are creating a path from input to output. And we said that the expressions become a little bit complicated. Okay, the moment we start including R naught, we said that the analysis becomes a little bit more complicated. So now, can you say in the presence of R naught, what do you think will be the input resistance? No, RL is present. RL is present. So let me ask a simpler question. Let's assume RL is infinity. RL is infinity. If RL is infinity, then what do you think will be the So for this one, first draw the small signal model and check for yourself. If you draw the small signal model, between emitter and base you have R pi. So base is at ground. And you have a resistance, a dependent current source, GM V pi from collector to emitter. So this is actually V input and V pi is from base to emitter. So this is V pi. R naught parallel across this. And V naught is open. Now, what do you think is the input resistance? You can even apply a simple KCL and tell the answer. So let me redraw the circuit this way. This is R naught. Is that okay? It's only R pi. You see that? So what happens here is that, what is the current flowing here? The current flowing here is 0. If the current flowing here is 0, what is the current entering here? At this point, what is the current entering here? That is also 0, right? It's the sum of the two currents is 0. This is also 0, right? By KCL, you can say it is 0. Then if I apply a voltage Vy, if let's say I'm applying a voltage Vi here, current only flows through R pi. That's the only path for taking the current. So the input resistance is R pi. So when RL is infinity, you get an input resistance of R pi. Now let me short circuit RL. So I'll make RL as 0. If I make RL as 0, I'm applying a voltage Vi. Now what do you think will be the input resistance? See, Vi, this is also Vi because if the moment this is at AC ground, this node is at AC ground. No, RL is when RL is infinity, it is short circuit. RL is shorted now. The previous case was when RL is infinity. When RL was infinity, the output was an open circuit. So we said the current going out is 0, which means the current entering this is also 0. Now in this circuit, I've made RL as 0. Output should is short circuit. So now if I ask you to find what is Vi, what will it be? Yes, it is Re. Yes, yes. See, look at this. What have we done here? We have shorted base and collector. And I told you guys, whenever you short base and collector, you can replace this with a single resistance of value 1 by Gm parallel R0 parallel Re. Right? We said it will be parallel, all the three will be in parallel. 1 by Gm parallel R by parallel Re. Okay? I'm sorry, this is R pi. I'm sorry, this is R pi. 1 by Gm parallel R0 parallel R pi. And collector is anyways at ground. So this is both base and collector are at same voltage. So it is at ground. And you're looking here, you're applying a voltage Vi. So the resistance will be 1 by Gm parallel R pi parallel R0. What is 1 by Gm parallel R pi? In terms of small r, it's actually small r. That in parallel with R0. That's it. It's a very low resistance. So now look at this value and I'll approximate this. Approximately it will be equal to Re itself because R0 is really large, which again is approximately equal to 1 by G. So when RL is 0, if I'm plotting my output resistance, input resistance of a common collector configuration, common base configuration, okay, Rn is common base, not any two, let me finish this. So the minimum value when RL is 0, you get a resistance of 1 by Gm. It's a nonlinear function. When RL is infinity, you get a resistance of value R0, R pi. You get a resistance of value R pi. So it increases by beta times. So when R pi is nothing but beta by Gm, it starts from 1 by Gm and it increases by beta times the final resistance when RL becomes equal to infinity. Yeah, so now how did I replace this by resistor? So I've always said that if base and collector are short circuited, then it becomes a two terminal device. Replace this with a single resistance of value 1 by Gm. 1 by Gm parallel R pi parallel R0. Okay, to be precise, but approximately it will be 1 by Gm itself. Okay, so now you see that there is a strong dependence on load resistance. If you change the load resistance, input resistance is also changing. Okay, so I'll now give you a very quick result for common base configuration. The input resistance of a common base, see there are two components. There is one R pi resistance here present already. Now first you find what is the resistance at this point. Let's call this as R in E. Looking into the emitter, I am trying to find the resistance with R0 present. R0 is also present here. Then what will be the resistance seen here? This will be Rn CV. What will be the resistance in terms of Rn and R pi? No, the resistance seen here is Rne. The resistance seen here is Rne. What will be the resistance seen here? Exactly. So it will be R pi in parallel with Rne. That's it. So it will be R pi in parallel with Rne. That's it. Okay. It's going to be in parallel. That's it. So that's the input resistance. So all you need to do is find out R in E. That I'll do the derivation once and then I'll give you an intuition for this and we'll look at the concluding remarks for BJTs. So right now I've taken R pi separately out. So we'll draw the small signal model for this. If you draw the small signal model, you have a current GMVI, see GMVBE, and this is your R0, and you have the load resistance. So I'm trying to find, I've ignored R pi now, let's call this node as VI. The resistance at this point, I need to find the input current. I need to find the ratio of VI by II. So this is VBE. VBE is the voltage across this. So can I say VI is minus VBE? VI is minus VBE. So I can replace this current this way. I can change the polarity of the current and write it as GMVI. Okay, GMVI flowing from, I can just reverse the polarity of the current. So if II is the input current, what is the current flowing through the load here? What is this current? II is the current entering here. What will be the current that's coming out of this? Same II, right? That will also be II. So the voltage at this point V0 will actually be II into RL. V0, the voltage here is II into RL. Okay? So this node voltage is V0. And yeah, so once you know V0, which is II into VL, so you have to just write KCL at the input. At the input, you have II is the input current. It has two components, VI minus V0 by R0. That's the current flowing through R0 plus GMVI. So I'll substitute V0 as II into RL. That's the expression I have here. So in that V0, I'll substitute II into RL. See, our goal is to calculate VI by II. So you have II equals VI by R0 plus GMVI minus II into RL by R0. So you will get 1 plus RL by R0 into II equals V0 into 1 plus GM R0 upon R0. Okay? So from this, if I take the ratio VI by II out, what will I get here is R0 by 1 plus GM R0. Okay, into 1 plus RL by R0. So I'll expand this result. So this is the first term will be R0 plus 1 plus GM R0 plus RL by 1 plus GM R0. This R0 plus 1 plus GM R0 is nothing but 1 by GM in parallel with R0. Plus the second term is RL by 1 plus GM R0. Okay, this is the expression you get for the input resistance of a common base configuration. Now, we'll try to look intuitively, does this result make any sense? So in a common base configuration, the input resistance depends upon RL. You can see that it's a strong function of RL. Okay, so now what is the actual input resistance? I'm sorry, this is R in E. This is R in E. What is your actual input resistance in common base? R pi in parallel with R in E. So this entire thing will come in parallel with R pi. That's it. So that's the result you have for the input resistance of common base configuration. Now I'll try to give an intuitive understanding for this. I'll give the same intuition when I'm teaching common gate as well in MOSFETs. See, the thing with, let me ask you from common collector amplifier. In a common collector amplifier, let's say I connected a load resistance here. What will be the input resistance Rin? You apply a voltage Vi here, which is VBE, and the current drawn from the base will be IB itself, R pi. Now similarly, you take the common emitter configuration and connect RS to ground. And if you find the R naught here, R out here, what will be the value of R out? That's fully VCE, right? Whatever input you are going to apply here, it will be fully VCE and the current drawn will be IC. So the ratio will be R naught itself. So here, does Rin depend upon RL in a common emitter? No, right? In common emitter, Rin does not depend upon RL or R out does not depend upon RS. Whatever you connect with the input, it has no dependence on the output resistance. So keep this point in mind. Now, so far we just saw the derivation here. Your input resistance was some complicated expression in common base. It has a dependence on RL. Now, let's just quickly calculate the output resistance of a common collector, common base configuration. In a common base configuration, you'll have to keep your source resistance as it is, ground this, and you're looking at the collector. You're looking into the collector. So, okay, what will be your output resistance? R out. You are looking into the collector, emitter is connected to RS. What will be R out? And base is at ground. It's same as this. What will be your R out here? Exactly. So it will be GM R naught into RS parallel R pi. Right? Whatever RS is there, you take it in parallel with R pi, multiplied by GM R naught, you get the output resistance. You're looking at the collector. So now if you look at this expression, does this output resistance depend on RS? Yes, right? It has a direct dependence on RS. The output resistance has a direct dependence on RS. But if you see here common emitter configuration, both the output and input resistance had no dependence on either the load resistance or on the source resistance. So we'll try to intuitively understand why is this. Okay, we'll try to intuitively understand why is this result. Why are we getting this result? So one thing about common emitter configuration, generally if let's say we have an amplifier and we need it to have, if you apply an input voltage, the output voltage should be A times Vi. Okay, that's the relationship we need, then it's called as an amplifier. Now what will happen to this amplifier if I connect an input at the output? What will be the output voltage? If I interchange the input and output terminals, what do you think will be the output voltage? Yeah. So yeah, intuition says it is. Sorry. Probably common sense says maybe it's 1 by A naught. But then you have to think a bit here. See, most amplifiers are unidirectional amplifiers, meaning they will amplify in one direction. They can only amplify in one direction. They cannot amplify in the opposite direction. So therefore, V naught is not determined here. You don't know. You cannot say what is your V naught. Take for example a common emitter configuration. If you apply Vi here, the intrinsic gain is going to be minus of GM R naught into Vi. Now what do you think will happen if I apply a voltage at, so this is Vi. If I'm going to apply a voltage at collector, if I apply a voltage at collector, what will happen to the base voltage here? That is not determined here. You don't know what the base voltage is. Okay, you don't know what it is. It's indeterminate. So that's why we say this, it's a unidirectional amplifier. Amplification happens only in one direction, from input to output. So this is a unidirectional amplifier. The thing with a common base amplifier is that in case of a common base amplifier, let's assume R naught is infinity. What do you think would have been your output resistance? What will be the output resistance if R naught is infinity in a common base amplifier? In a common base amplifier, even if RS is present, if I assume R naught is infinity, what will be your output resistance? Infinity, right? Your output resistance will be very high, it will be infinity. It will not depend upon RS. What happens to your input resistance if R naught is infinity? what happens to your input resistance if R naught is infinity, RL is infinity, R naught is infinity? It is 1 by Gm, right? If your input resistance is, R naught is infinity, this is 1 by Gm, 1 by Gm parallel infinity is 1 by Gm, plus this term will go to 0. This whole thing will come in parallel to R pi. So it will be small Re. R pi parallel Re will be small Re or 1 by Gm. So now if you see, if I ignore R naught, if I assume R naught as infinity, both the input resistance and output resistance are independent of load and source resistances. If I don't assume that, then they both depend on it. So now we'll relook at what exactly is R naught doing in a common base configuration. In a common base configuration, R naught is a direct resistive path between input and output. It's the one that's connecting input and output. So there is a direct path from input to the output, and similarly from output to input there is a direct path. Which is why a common base amplifier is the only amplifier. In fact, when we come to MOSFETs, I'll analyze this result again. You will see that this is the only amplifier which can have a bidirectional amplification. Which means if I apply a voltage Vi here, the intrinsic gain, I'll ignore R pi for the time being. Let me ignore R pi for the time being. If I ignore it, your V naught will be 1 plus Gm R naught times Vi. Similarly, you take a common base amplifier, and you can very easily derive this and show it. I'll leave it to you as an exercise. You can try it yourself. If you apply an input voltage here, the output voltage will actually be Vi by 1 plus Gm R naught. It will be 1 by the voltage gain. So only a common base configuration will satisfy this condition. So it has some kind of a bidirectional amplification. Rather, in one direction it attenuates, but you get this result. Only common base amplifier, and that's because of the presence of R naught. If there was no R naught, there is no coupling between input, or rather there is no link between input to output. Okay, it's the presence of R naught which is linking the input and output. So if I apply a voltage Vi here, this voltage becomes 1 plus Gm R naught times Vi. Okay. So now keep this in mind, and you will be able to now intuitively tell me, intuitively you will be able to guess what happens to the output resistance. So here I'm going to assume that there is an R pi in parallel. I'll try to find the input resistance here. If there is an R naught present here, if I apply a voltage Vi here, approximately what will be this node voltage? Can I say it is 1 plus Gm R naught into Vi? If I assume RL to be very high, it will be approximately 1 plus Gm R naught into Vi. Intrinsic gain in times Vi. So what is the current flowing through the resistor? What is the current flowing through this resistor? The voltage across the resistor is 1 plus Gm R naught into Vi. So what is the current flowing through that? Can I say it is 1 plus Gm R naught divided by RL? Okay, yeah, into Vi. That's the current flowing through this. And what is this current? The input current here. Is it not same as this current through the load resistance? So this is your II itself. The input current that is being drawn is same as the load current itself. So that will be II itself. So the ratio of Vi by II is approximately RL by 1 plus Gm R naught. So whatever load resistance you connect at the output, that gets divided, the input sees a reduced version of that load resistance. RL divided by 1 plus Gm R naught. Okay. So that will come in parallel with R pi. If you find the output, the resistance seen at this point is RL by 1 plus Gm R naught, which is Vi by II, and the resistance, yeah. Let me complete this. I'll discuss this again, the doubts towards the end. So what I'm trying to say is, if I apply a voltage Vi here, if your RL is very large, assume your RL to be really large. When I say large, your RL is much higher than R naught. That's what I mean. If your RL is very high, then I can assume the voltage gain from input to output, from input point to the output point, will be the intrinsic gain itself. Because if your load resistance is very high, the output gain will be intrinsic gain itself. So in that case, the intrinsic gain of a common base is 1 plus Gm R naught into Vi. So the output voltage is actually 1 plus Gm R naught into Vi. Now, if you know the output voltage, you also know the current flowing through the load resistance. So that will be 1 plus Gm R naught Vi divided by RL. That's your load current. But if you look at this structure, you can directly see that this load current IL is same as II, the current entering here. Okay? Why is II equal to IL? Because if you ignore R pi, what is the path for the current? What is the path for the current? So if you look at intuitively the small signal model, you have a current II entering here. It splits into two currents. These two currents, and then both of the currents join back, and the load current will be equal to the sum of the two currents. Okay, it will be the sum of just KCL. It follows from KCL. Here I've made some small assumptions. I've assumed alpha close to 1 and all that, but it's okay. This suffices. That's good enough, an approximation. R pi, no, not 0 infinity. R pi is very high. I assumed this is R naught, sorry. This is R naught. R pi is very high, yeah. I have separated out R pi here. I have separated out R pi in the model. I'm just looking at this point. So what you get is RL by 1 plus Gm R naught is the resistance seen at the emitter. This will come in parallel with R pi. So we got the same result, what we derived some time back. We got the same result. I didn't get this term alone. I just missed out this term. Okay. But the assumption is that term is a very small number. RL is really large. Okay. So in that case, we have gotten the second term very accurately. Yeah. If I assume RL to be very large, I said if I apply a voltage Vi, then the voltage gain that of this common base amplifier will be close to the intrinsic gain itself, right? What is intrinsic gain? Intrinsic gain is the gain of a common base amplifier if RL is infinity. I'm assuming RL to be really large. So if I apply a voltage Vi here, the output voltage will be approximately intrinsic gain times the input voltage, which is 1 plus Gm R naught into Vi. So that's why you get the intrinsic gain there. Okay, so fine. So this is the result that we have derived, and similarly, by a similar logic, let's assume you have a source resistance here, and I'm grounding this to here. I'm looking into the collector. R out for a common base configuration. So if I apply a voltage Vi here or Vx here, what can you say about the approximate voltage here? Can I say it will be Vx upon 1 plus Gm R naught? Because I said only a common base configuration has this bilateral amplification. So it will be Vi by 1 plus Gm R naught. So what is the current through Rs? See, there is, I think you should also see that between base and emitter, there is a resistance R pi as well. So you include Rs and R pi in parallel. So the resistance I can model it as a single resistance of value, Rs parallel R pi. So if I apply a voltage Vx here, the voltage at this point will be Vx upon 1 plus A naught. So that's what we just said some moments ago. Okay. I said in a common base configuration, it has a bidirectional amplification. If you apply a voltage Vi at the emitter, you get V naught 1 plus Gm R into Vi. If you apply Vi at the collector, you will get Vi by 1 plus Gm R naught. I didn't derive this result. I said it's pretty simple to derive. You can derive it yourself. Very trivial to derive. So you get Vi by 1 plus Gm R naught. So using that, I'm telling you that in case if I have a resistance here, I'm trying to tell you that you can derive it intuitively. what is the value of output resistance of a common base configuration? Look at the collector, you are applying a voltage at the collector, a voltage of value Vx. So the voltage at the emitter will be Vx by 1 plus A naught. So the current flowing through this resistor will be the voltage across it, which is Vi by 1 plus A naught into Rs parallel R pi. This is your current flowing through this. And if I assume alpha close to 1, alpha approximately equal to 1, that will be same as your collector current. So that your collector current is your input current, Ix. So Ix equals this. So the ratio of Vx by Ix is 1 plus A naught into Rs parallel R pi. So this is the result. We have already derived it for an emitter degenerated resistor. If you degenerate it with Rs, here base is ground and you are looking into the collector. That we already know the result is close to A naught into Rs parallel R pi. This is something we are already aware of. I just derived this result intuitively. So if I apply a voltage Vx here, the voltage that's going to appear here is going to be approximately Vx by A naught. Vx by A naught or Vx by 1 plus A naught. So you know the voltage across that, and the resistance seen at that node is Rs parallel R pi. So Vx upon A naught into Rs parallel R pi is the current flowing there. And that current is same as the collector current as well, approximately. If your current, I'll assume alpha to be very close to 1, collector current will be close to emitter current. So this will be your collector current, which I have assumed to be Ix. So Vx by Ix is A naught into Rs parallel R pi. So this is one intuitive way of looking at the input and output resistance of a common base amplifier. Okay, so I'll discuss this probably after the class. In case you have a doubt, you can discuss with me after the class. But I'll just list out the important factors. So we have now done a rigorous analysis of all the three amplifier configurations: common base, common emitter, and common conductor. So in a common emitter, so I'll list out the values of A naught, the intrinsic gain, AV, R in, and R out. For a common emitter, we said it is minus A naught, where A naught equals GM R naught, and input resistance was R pi, output resistance was R naught. What about common collector configuration? The intrinsic gain is A naught by 1 plus A naught, which is very close to 1. And what was the input resistance in a common collector configuration? Assume you have a load resistance. You have a load resistance RL, and you also have a finite R naught. What will be your input resistance? So it will be R pi plus beta plus 1 into RL parallel R naught, right? Take RL in parallel with R naught, R pi plus beta plus 1 into RL parallel R naught, that's it. So that will be the value of output, which is large. It is really much larger than R pi. So beta plus 1 into RL parallel R naught. And the output resistance of common collector configuration. In an output resistance of common collector configuration, you are looking at the output terminal with the base grounded. So even if you have RS, I told you guys how to derive it, but let's assume base is grounded. Okay, I'm sorry. This is common collector. So output resistances, you are looking into the emitter. You are looking into the emitter and the source is at Rs. So the output resistance, and what is the value of the output resistance? Output resistance will be small Re plus Rs by beta plus 1. Small Re by Rs plus beta plus 1. Whatever is here, that gets divided by beta plus 1. And the whole thing will come in parallel with R naught. The whole thing will come in parallel with R naught. That is very low. Approximately, it will be, if I assume beta is very, very large, then I can ignore this term. Approximately Re. This is really large for a common collector. Finally, for a common base, the intrinsic gain is 1 plus A naught being GM R naught. Both the input and output resistances depend upon, the input resistance is very low. For a common base, it is very low. It will be R pi parallel 1 by GM plus Rs by 1 plus A naught. And the output resistance for a common collector configuration, common base is very high. It's actually Rs into 1 plus A naught. Approximately it's equal, actually it's Rs parallel R pi into 1 plus A naught. So these are the three results we discussed. And what were the what were the applications for all these amplifiers? Which of the amplifiers is the best suited for voltage amplification? Common emitter. Common emitter is best suited for voltage amplification. Is common emitter alone suitable? Let's say I don't care about the voltage gain. Which one is best suited for voltage amplification? It should have a high input resistance, low output resistance. Look at that which amplifier has that combination? High input resistance, very low output resistance. Output resistance should be very low. For a common emitter, the output resistance is very high, it's R naught. For a common base, output resistance is also very high. It's Rs parallel R pi multiplied by intrinsic A. So common collector. Common collector has the lowest output resistance and input resistance is also very high. In fact, it has the highest input resistance. Common collector among the three configurations. So therefore, it's best suited for voltage amplification. But the voltage gain you can get, maximum gain you can get is 1. You cannot get a gain greater than 1 out of it. So as an engineer, if you can think, can you combine any two amplifiers to behave like the perfect voltage amplifier? I need high gain, I need high input resistance and low output resistance. So which amplifiers can I combine? I need very high input resistance. So is that fine? I think some of you got it. So you need to combine a common emitter plus common collector. So common emitter will give you a very high gain and a common emitter will give you a very high gain and a common collector. So you get an input resistance of R pi and an output resistance approximately small re. I'm ignoring R pi, Rs by beta plus 1. I'm ignoring that term. It will be small re. So by combining these two, I can get a lower, by combining these two, I can approximate an ideal voltage amplifier. Okay, so that's it. So I'll leave at this point. So we are more or less done with bipolar junction transistors, single stage amplifiers in bipolar junction transistors. Next week, we'll start with MOSFETs. Okay, tutorial questions, I'll probably solve it in one of those classes or I'll upload just one sec.